13th with their clash scheduled to kick off at 4:30 p.m. And I'm just trying to spell out the fixtures of the Niger Super 8 finals and how it will be. And therefore, Group A winners will battle Group B runners-up in a semi-final clash on July 14th, starting at 2 p.m., while the Group B winner will slug it out with Group A runner-up in the second semi-finals match at 4:30 p.m. The tournament final will now hold on July 16th, starting at 5 p.m. And each club will earn the amount of 3 million naira per match at the group stage, with the semi-finalists also earning additional 3 million naira, and the runners-up will earn 9 million naira, while the winners will go home with 25 million naira. I bet you understand now why Joseph did talk about the fact that a whole lot of money and benefits is involved in the Niger Super 8.
And away from that, the nationwide League One organizers of the Under-19 Youth League have announced the adoption and immediate application of physical checks and verification of a player's license, given the new season commencing on the 12th of July. The purpose of introducing verification of licensing of players, according to the NLO, was aimed at filtering fit and eligible players who will participate in the NLO Under-19, the Youth League, for the 2023-2024 season. The part of the requirement for the verification process includes early arrival of players at the match venue and having their national identification number, the NIN, to avoid or rather to aid the verification process. Now, the full statement released by the NLO said, and I quote, "Following the scheduled date for the announcement of the NLO Under-19 Youth League on Wednesday, the 12th of July 2023, we tend to introduce physical checks of the player's license of every player participating in the NLO Under-19 Youth League before kickoff, and failure to produce the license to the NLO assigned coordinator will result in the player being removed from the league." And
just to conclude on that, the NLO also pleaded with the teams to ensure that all their players have valid and up-to-date NLO licenses for smoother operation. We wish the boys all the best, as many as they are, that will take part of this age and physical eligibility requirements for the NLO Under-19 League. That's for the 2023-2024 session. Now, let's move away from the local scene and talk about our girls. That's the Super Falcons team. It is 16 days to the Women's World Cup, which is slated to hold from July 20th in Australia and New Zealand. It is what everyone is looking towards to. If you talk about female football, I tell you for sure it's going to sound a hand when it comes to the World Cup. Now, just to inform you that the Super Falcons of Nigeria have arrived Australia in preparation ahead of the 2023 World Cup. Now, after almost 21 hours of flight from Abuja, Nigeria, the Super Falcons have landed in Australia for the 2023 edition of the FIFA Women's World Cup, where they will kickstart their training camp in Brisbane, Australia. Now, the showpiece will be held in Australia and New Zealand from July 20th to August 20th, like I earlier stated. And the Super Falcons defender Glory Ogbonna announced the team's arrival on a Twitter handle, stating "Glory to God for safe landing." The Randy Waldrum-led side will have all their group matches in Australia. And of course, they have been placed in Group B alongside hosts Australia, Republic of Ireland, and Canada. Now, the Nigeria's team's first match will be against Canada on July 21st at the Melbourne Rectangular Stadium. And also, the Super Falcons are the only African team to take part in all FIFA Women's World Cup since its inception in China, 1991. But also, we've not been able to win anyone. So we have a whole lot of work to do in this particular one. And we did bring you news yesterday that Oshuala said that these girls are mentally ready to be able to take on their opponents when it comes to the group stages. But we'll see how that pans out to be, Joseph.
Well, we'll see how it pans out to be, as you rightly stated, that since 1991, since the competition kick-started in China, Nigeria has never won the title. And of course, at the best position, our best ever finish will be in 1998, when we got to the second round of the competition. Absolutely. So the big question will be, why is that? Now, I'll take you back to what happened last year in Qatar, where Morocco got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Now, what played out there and why they didn't progress to the final will now be inexperienced. Do you understand? Look at countries that has won the World Cup, male or female version. They bring in at least 7% of the players are homegrown players. Yeah. Then you have 30% of the players who apply their trade outside of the country. And now in 1998, when we got to the next round of the competition, something also played out in expense, as I mentioned. But we got to the second round. But we were very unlucky not to have gone through to the quarterfinals, because then we had a league which was, well, functioning. We could bring in players from the local scene, coupled with the foreign guys that we had then. But if you look at the group of players, even have with the Super Eagles, these are guys who ply the trade in different countries, and guys who, to a large extent, never played local football here. And you bring these guys to come play the African Cup of Nations. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but then have a blend of home and foreign-based players. Look at the United States of America. Their league is working. So if the league is working here... One of the most
successful teams when it comes to the Women's World Cup. If the league is working, you'll be... I'm not saying just play football and give us result on BSN Sport or Super Sport and let us video. I'm talking a proper league that is worthy of watching. You and I know, Nengi, let's be blunt here, that if an Arsenal is playing Manchester United and an Enyimba is playing Remo Stars, even if you get a VIP ticket to go watch the Remo Stars and Enyimba, you prefer to sit at home and watch that Arsenal Manchester United TV, because it is beautiful. It is worth watching, and except those things, if those things are not put in place, trust me, nothing will work. The Moroccan League finally, I can sit and watch it. Beautiful football. And evidently seen at the World Cup. So until this thing is done, this World Cup we're going to is not a cause. These girls will not win it. But then represent the country well. Don't crash out of the group stages. That is what we're saying. At least go a bit further aside from the group stages. Now, still on the Women's World Cup, like I told you earlier on, we have just 16 days to July 20th, in which the Women's World Cup will kickstart, and a whole lot of talking points surround this one. Now, when it comes to Nigeria, we have a whole lot of talking points, just like I earlier stated. I think sometime yesterday or in the early hours of this morning, I did read about a news where the NFF has queried Randy Wildrum about the fact that he is saying wrong things or trying to put on wrong notions in front of everyone and all of that. I believe him 100%. Exactly. I believe him 100%. I think there is more to this. And no, there is no. I think what they want, what the NFF wants, is like what they do with the under-17. Okay, what they allegedly, because I don't have proof, what they allegedly do with the under-17 is that you see all these academies, the Thai Academy, many academies like that. I have a player, he knows how to play, but they bribe their way in. So you are telling the man to pick a goalkeeper he has never seen play to go represent the country at the World Cup. And he said, no, let him do his job. And so they're trying to frustrate his effort. But then, don't forget his contract states that he will give me the free hand to do my job. And so that statement is what around the world, and they dare not do anything stupid, because thank God we have the court of arbitration now. It takes them to court and they're paying times 10 of what is currently earning. Absolutely. And let's move forward and still talk about the Women's World Cup. We also know that Australian captain Sam Kerr has won Group B opponents, Nigeria, Canada, and Ireland, of the threat the Matildas pose when the Women's World Cup kicks off by July 20th. Now, the 29-year-old will be making a fourth appearance at the tournament, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. Kerr had an outstanding season for Chelsea last term, scoring 29 goals as the Blues won the league and the FA Cup. Of course, for the FA Cup, the only goal that was scored, 1-0 against Manchester United, was scored by Sam Kerr. A beautiful goal right there. But she was voted Chelsea's Women's Player of the Season and Player of the Season as well, as being awarded the Football Writers Association Women's Football of the Year prize for the second consecutive season. And speaking after being selected for the World Cup, Kerr is hoping to replicate her club form for her country on the world stage. And she told FIFA.com that whatever it takes to win, if I take away 2 players, and then good for them. We've got electric speed anywhere else, so good luck to those we face. This is my opportunity to do something big for the team. Of course, yesterday we talked about Sam Kerr and the 23 squad list, the final squad list that will be facing off with Nigeria. But you talk about the competition as a whole. We do know that the likes of the United States, the likes of England, Spain, are one of the favorites, not leaving out the Netherlands, but we'll see how things pans out to be right there. We just have to wait for July 20th for it to kickstart. And amidst all of this, some newsmen, some bookmakers have come out to talk about the top 10 rated players to watch out for in the World Cup. And one of them is Asisat Oshoala, Joseph. Yes, one of them is Asisat Oshoala. She's also a 5-time African Player of the Year and the first African to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Feminine. What a player. Exactly. What a player this woman is. The first African. Oshoala scored in Nigeria's 2015 and 2019 World Cup appearances. So
I'm on the way to your own Perry, and I mean, it's right. Top 10, I would say top 5.
Oh, and
I would say top 3.
According to what we saw, normally, Oshuala was rated 10th, like the very last one.
In the world, if it's in the world,
yeah.
But sometimes I don't know how these ratings are.
Yeah.
She's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or.
And all of that.
She's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. And I don't know if they've gotten the final shortlist. I don't think so. But I mean, Barcelona won the Champions League, correct?
Yeah.
So she should be making it in. So, well, top 10, this is from a start. But I would say, Asisat Oshuala, my top 5 will be among the top 5 in the world right now.
Of course, and that is
number 1, undisputed in Africa.
Definitely, despite the fact that injuries wanted to blow on, particularly on her career. But thankfully for the fact that she was able to jump back at this time around. But we have other names definitely in the World Cup, from the likes of Germany down to Spain. All of them, we have names when you talk about the World Cup. So we'll see how things pans out to be. And of course, you don't need to be ranked to be able to perform better. You just have to do well for your team. And that's it at the Women's World Cup. I definitely will be bringing you up to speed with whatever is going on concerning that aspect. Now, Joseph, let's move on to the world of transfers as it concerns Nigerian players stopping plying their trade in top flight leagues. Yes, we know that at this point, according to multiple reports, that 2 Saudi clubs, I will get the names right now. This is former Nigeria Super Eagles forward Odion Ighalo is on the verge of a Saudi Pro League return, as 2 clubs have shown interest in engaging his services. Now, former Watford FC forward left Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia this summer following the expiration of his contract, and the club never shown interest in renewal of the contract. Ighalo is back in Nigeria, but his agent is still in Saudi discussing with clubs that have indicated interest in getting the prolific striker. Al Khalij was the first side to show interest in getting Odion Ighalo. And moving on, aside from that, we do know that Nigerian duo Kelechi Iheanacho and Wilfred Ndidi could leave Leicester City this summer as new Foxes manager. Enzo Maresca says the club is open to selling players desperate to leave the King Power Stadium. Now, speaking on the future of his current players, including the likes of Jamie Vardy, Harvey Barnes, and the Nigerians at the club, Maresca said it is difficult when the market is open. Anything can happen. And at the moment, 7 players had their contract expired. The likes of James Maddison have already left. He has left to Tottenham Hotspur, and some more players can leave. But at the same time, players can leave so we can bring in more players. And of course, I think I quite share in his opinion that when the market is open, anything can happen. So Iheanacho and Ndidi have been linked with exits from the club this summer after Leicester City were relegated to the Championship 7 years after they lifted the Premier League. Now, while Iheanacho has been linked with AS Roma, Inter Milan, Besiktas, and Aston Villa, Ndidi has also been attracting interest from Saudi Arabian clubs like Al Hilal and Al Ittihad, as well as Scottish giants, Glasgow Rangers, and also Celtic. Well, bad times for these guys because I think relegating to the Championship says a lot. And for a player of their caliber, the Championship won't be befitting, and they know that it might be difficult to make it back to the Premier League. And as we see all the time, aside the 38 matches you play in the Premier League, you play for the 6 in the Championship. So that's an extra game, so they would be leaving. But I don't know where it all started for Kelechi, example. He was supposed to move to AC Milan. And at this point in time, I think we would follow that one closely to bring you more updates. But then, at a point in time, I think some of the people came out to talk about the fact that that AC Milan move wasn't being constructed at the right time and all of that. But we'll see how things pans out for these players. And let's not forget that so far, so good. The market value of some of these players that ply the trade that represents Nigeria's Super Eagles stars have dropped, talking about their market value. But still on the transfer gossip, English Premier League side Brighton and Hove Albion are reportedly interested in signing Nigerian defender Calvin Bassey from Ajax, and also have an eye on his club teammate Mohamed Kudus. Now, the Seagulls were interested in Bassey last summer, but the Nigerian international opted for a move to Amsterdam. And the 23-year-old left Ibrox in the summer with guest striking a reported £23 million deal with Ajax under Ross Wilson, a record sale for the Scottish Giants. Now, however, things haven't exactly gone to plan for Bassey at Ajax, and now there is talk of interest from the Premier League side. And amid a season of big chances at the Amsterdam Arena, the Nigerian have often been the scapegoat for poor performances and stumbling league form, with Ajax ending the season in third position in the Dutch top flight league.
Now let's travel to Benin City and let you know that the trials will be agog. And that's the national trials. It will be agog in Benin City, the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium, to be precise. Where we know that the trials to select some of the best of athletes to be taking place.
And of course, just like Joseph has rightly stated, it is already agog right there at the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium in Benin City. Now, despite the downpour in Benin City yesterday, athletics lovers swamped the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium to catch a glimpse of world champion Tobiloba Musa, World Championships silver medalist Ese Brume, and other overseas-based athletes train ahead of the national trials, which begins today proper. Now, the event, which ends July 7th, will be used to select Team Nigeria for the 19th World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary. The arrival of Amusa, Brume, and Udodi Onwuzurike took the number of athletes based abroad to 16 on Tuesday. And of course, when you talk about the very phenomenal Tobiloba Amusan, she just won the 100 meters women's hurdles at the Diamond League in Sweden on Sunday night, and she arrived in Benin City at about 11 a.m. yesterday, but the heavy rains delayed her appearance at the stadium. And at about 4 p.m., the athletes took to the tracks and field of the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium, with the fans in their hundreds applauding from the stands. And just to also let you know that over 160 athletes, including the home base, will be on parade at the Samuel Ogbamudia Stadium for the national trials. All
right, so just in case you're wondering, that Tobiloba Musa will run in Sweden, beating some of the big stars when it comes to athletics, is coming for the trials. Now, it's a new format. What did I remember Justin Gatlin? Now, Justin Gatlin wasn't favorite. It was just an high school boy who came for trials, and he dropped one of their main stars to run for them. I'm talking about Justin Gatlin. So, yeah, we might celebrate Tobi Amusa, but there might be one Uchenna, Carlos somewhere in Epoma, saying that I can beat this Tobi girl, and it gets it. So if you perform well at the trials, you represent the country. With the
way Tobiloba is Amusa at this point, Amusa is using at this point in time, I do not feel that anyone would want to stand her speed on the track. Anything is possible, definitely.
My stake 100%, she will be part of the athletes.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that. But then the trials, we might discover new talent.
Yeah.
So if she's running,
that's one of the essence of the trials also.
And I'm discovering one Nengi, not the one in the studio, that's running 8.4. Then why would I go with the Nengi, the one in Benin, not the one here? So, of course, definitely I will.
All right, let's move away from athletics and talk some handball stories right here. Now, we do understand the fact that the Handball Premier League is currently on, and the Kano Pillars and Niger United played an explosive draw game on day 3 of the ATEWE Handball Premier League 2023, phase 1 on Tuesday in Benin City, Edo State. Now, so much, I tell you for sure, is happening right there in Edo State now, because these are people that knows the what and how important it is to be able to maintain a facility and make sure that they bring in competitions just to make everything popular concerning the state. Now, this fixture have always been one that got every fan on the edge of their seats in previous seasons, and this season it wasn't different, as Kano Pillars, who were conceding few minutes to the end of the match, somehow managed to equalize dramatically to mark 25-25 against Niger United. And Niger United at that time were given an opportunity to claim a dramatic win through a 7-meter stroll at exact 30 minutes, and in comes Shagari John, who just needed to score, but goalkeeper Abdul Wahab for Kano Pillars made a save. So currently that match definitely went in favor of Kano Pillars. Niger United ruined most of their chances in that particular war.
All right, we have to go on the break right now to give you highlights from the world of tennis. You recall that the last fortnight, that's the last 2 weeks, we'll be talking about Declan Rice and how he has agreed personal terms to join Arsenal. The problem being the payment structure. I can confirm to you right now there's a breaking news on Sky Sport, and the breaking news came in some seconds ago. It says that Arsenal has agreed £105 million payment structure with West Ham United. Officially, he would become an Arsenal player. But let's give you highlights from the world of tennis. We'll be back to give you more stories making headlines in the world of sport. We'll be back.